Welcome to Indie 5 here on Rauta. This one is the last episode of Indie 5 this year because, well, we are kind of out of weeks here. In this episode we will talk a little bit about black metal, a couple of releases, then one death metal one and a kind of a punk band, and then also a kind of a hybrid. So without further ado, let's start going. First we go to Ukraine. This is Merzotna, Potvora. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you will see the link below and the proper name and all that stuff. This band started already a couple of years ago before under a different moniker, but this one is the first release under this name. Here's the, I guess, old logo and the inlay. And this is MCD. This came out in June or July, I'm not exactly sure, through Duplicate Records. So 5 tracks, including an intro. The style, at first it seems it's kind of a raw, old school, not first wave maybe, but like say early 90s black metal. This is by the name, the album named Suča, Maty. I don't know how to pronounce it, but here you go. So with the first track, it actually, that is after the intro, the first track is reminding me of old Dark Throne and Mayhem. So very, very kind of a raw, is primal, and kind of an early wave of black metal. Then it starts on a little bit of decline, which I guess was kind of a disappointment. I mean, the passion and enthusiasm is right there, and you don't even mind the lo-fi sound when you're listening to the first track after the intro. But that's still like the only really good track. The rest, well, not too shabby. It's decent and it's kind of enjoyable, but at the same time it's nowhere near the first track. However, given that this is the first release by this band, the previous band with a different moniker had a couple of demos out, so it's a little bit different. Anyway, for those of you who are into Ukrainian stuff and want something else than just your regular drug update, this is very much for you, so be sure to check it out. The next one, or the next two one actually, come from Finland. This one is Riesa, which roughly translates to nuisance. This one is also a MCD with 6 tracks, roughly about 15-16 minutes. It's called Paholaisen musiikkia, which then again translates as to music of the devil. This is self-financed release, including, by the way, it seems the autographs of this band. It says "Ole tässä, you were here," kind of a regular red dot joke. And here are the lyrics. As you can see, it's all in Finnish. Now, this is kind of a music that actually combines different styles. Some of punk, some of Finnish metal akin to bands like Stamina and Mokoma, but also other Finnish bands, and there are even hard rock elements here. For example, this last track called Haimanalta Blues, that is kind of like a eye wink towards Metal Crew. You can actually hear the riff reminding very much like Too Young to Fall in Love song, which is a great song by the way, but this riff is not that good, or the theme we could say, but it's kind of giving this little bit shout out to the band. Now, Riesa is basically doing some stuff really, really right way. I mean, the playing of the songs is very much there, and they have the kind of a right kind of aggression, and they are not afraid to experiment a little. That is, not to have, all the songs carved from the same stone or same wood. But unfortunately, the downside is that none of these tracks are really killer ones. It seems like the band is trying to experiment and just pushing their kind of a message so hard that they are forgetting that when you're about to create an album or mini-CD for that respect, you really need to have kind of a focus in order to kind of maintain the interest in the music. Now, I say these guys have potential, but this is not very good. I would say rather mediocre release, if you will. We'll keep in Finland, and this time we go to very, very different direction. This one is, should I say, political punk, or kind of a RAC kind of a stuff. So very rockish, very punkish, and very much on the right side of politics, that is. This is not one of those bands that is not afraid to say and speak their minds, and they're singing it in Finnish language. So for those people outside Finland, I don't know if this is going to give you a lot. This is very much singing about national pride and why should we defend our home country, Finland, and so forth. I don't know, it depends totally on your political agenda or views, whether or not you're gonna enjoy this kind of release. Those two are very much into Finnish music, punk or otherwise, probably would feel this related to a band called Chlamydia. I mean the musical sense. Kind of a boneheaded, in your face, kind of a punkish attitude. Some songs are even more like in a good mood way. I mean, just thinking of the riffs. While some are more melancholic, even kind of atmospheric stuff with acoustic guitars. So it's quite diverse, given it's kind of a punk rock and traditional rock and roll music. Now, I'm not expert on anything, and even less with rock music. But to me, this kind of punkish stuff never been really my cup of tea. I mean, those guys are skilled and they know what they're doing, but because I'm not really into any kind of politics, even not the slightest into right-wing politics or, hey, say extreme left, those are not the subject that are touching me or speaking to me. So I'm like, I don't get anything out of those lyrics really. And when it comes to the actual music, well, it's like I can totally listen to it fine without feeling, I don't know, cringy, awkward, or anything like that. But it doesn't really get my fluids going on, if you know what I mean. But for people who are in the right kind of political mindset and people who can actually enjoy, you know, songs like Chlamydia stuff, well, I guess that is very, very much to those people. So if you're into right-wing politics and you want your rock and roll music to grab your beer with, this is probably the right kind of stuff. Then again, if your political agenda is right in the opposite of this one, don't even touch it. Don't go even near it. It's gonna burn your fingers. What's next? Oh yeah, more black metal. It's getting darker, so better hurry up before it gets too dark to do videos. So we are still in Finland. As you can see, the light is getting a little bit dark, giving this a little bit bluish color, but it is white. This one is Törzburg, Draculas Castle, the first release by this one-man band using the moniker Strigoi. 4 tracks, roughly some 16-17 minutes, and this is to Iron Bonehead. One-man band with first release out, this being copy number 64. This one is a raw black metal in a kind of a 90s ways, mostly mid-tempo, very, very lo-fi production, very raw vocals, and actually reminding me of some French black metal bands from the 90s. Think of more like along the lines of Mutilation and the like, and that's when you have Törzburg here. The theme is obviously Dracula, vampires, blood. It says even Blut ist Leben in the covers. So in case you're a fan of rawish black metal, I say give this one a chance. There is no other releases out so far from this band. So it's not only the first one, but it's the only one. And this is only available at the moment as tape and digital release. So you can pretty much check it out on Bandcamp. But I would say this is worth of recommending. Now the last but not least is from Germany. This is actually something that I've previously covered when it was released on tape. So this is Blasphemous Fortification and Abominable Premonition. This one is a mini CD, previously out on tape as I mentioned. And now it's out on CD. This was released I think in July maybe as tape, and now it's here for your listening convenience in case you're not a tape listening guy like I am not. A Dunkelheit production release, and this one is kind of a muddy old school death metal as probably the logo and the cover image, which is nice by the way, kind of suggests. However, there is this kind of a black metallic notion with these images, as you can see, pentagram and upside down crosses. And inside we have the duo pictured here, so no lyrics whatsoever once again. I don't know if there's anything really to add to the previous review, but in case you missed it, this one is kind of a traditional Maty old school death metal, and unfortunately nothing special in that particular genre. The thing here is, this is kind of easy to listen and easy to get into. I mean, if you have ever listened to early 90s death metal, but this is nowhere original, nowhere catchy, nowhere kind of a cool sounding. Nothing here is especially catchy. This is very, very, I would say, mediocre release in the genre. Not exactly bad, but nothing memorable, nothing fancy, nothing cool about it. Just basic death metal for a basic death metal listener. It's like having a box of or bottle of milk. You pretty much know what to expect, but if you do like milk, I mean, who's there to complain anyway? But that is what you have here. Very traditional, basic death metal, and what there is to it. Thank you for watching this last Indie 5. Should you have any ideas for the coming year on Rauta, be it reviews, be it Indie 5, or some other features, I'm more than happy to listen to your ideas. But for now, have a great new year and enjoy some metal in 2020.